Yeah. Is there a way to make sound? Or is it just computer speech?
Okay, welcome everyone. We've got at least 2 PowerPoints that we're gonna go through. Jacob, our deputy chief, is gonna go through some fire smart principles with everyone. I've got a kind of 2025 year in review of wildfires that we attended last year, what we saw, what we hope we don't see again this year. And then Bob, the Northern Regional Manager for EMO, should be here. I don't know where he is, but Mike's gonna text him, see where he is. He's got a presentation for us. I believe it's the MB Ready app as well as some other stuff. So Jacob's gonna start. Go from there.
Hey. Good evening, everyone. So I'm going to be doing a presentation on Fire Smart Canada. Wildfires couldn't make it here tonight, so I'll be presenting it for them. They'd have a little more information on some of the stuff we're going to talk about, but I'll be able to give you some contact information if you need it. So Fire Smart Canada, it's a national program. Basically, it's to help your neighborhoods locally be a little more resistant to wildfires, has some strategies and some techniques that you could do on your own property and collectively as a neighborhood, reduces the risk of wildfires. So it's important to you because of climate change. We've seen over the last couple of years, the amount of wildfires are increasing. And that ebbs and flows. We're gonna have a few years where it's gonna be really rainy and not have any. But we're kind of in that warming period with a higher tendency for droughts. Wildfires, a lot of them are natural caused, but it also depends regionally where you are. Up in this area, a lot of it's lightning. Down south, southeastern Manitoba, there's a lot of human caused fires as well. They're beneficial because they are part of the ecosystem, so it recycles nutrients. Provides additional nutrients to the forest. It clears all the dead debris that's lying on the forest floor as well. And it just helps create healthy ecosystems. And part of forestry operations, since we started doing forestry operations, there's been a lot of fire action, so a lot of different initial attack crews attacking wildfires that occur naturally. That builds up the fuel load over time. So that's why we're seeing a little more intense fires because we've been putting out the natural ones for some time now. So in an unmitigated property, these are some of the things you'd see. So leaves and gutters, unpruned trees, a lot of small trees, densely packed trees in and around the area. These are all things that contribute to wildfire risk. As you can see, a little amber burning across. It's not always the direct flames that cause houses to burn in wildfires. Most of the time it's the ember showers. So the embers land typically in the areas where leaves cool. They begin to ignite objects in and around that area. So that's why it's important to make sure any kind of burnable light fuel, leaves, grass, things like that around your house are taken care of. So if embers do land, they're landing on something that's not burnable or reduced fuel load. Cleaning your gutter removes those fuels. Same with keeping grass short. Wood piles near houses kept far away, reduces radiant heat risk. Pruning trees, it helps keep the fire on the surface level. When the trees go all the way, the tree branches go all the way to the ground, it's called ladder fuel. And that gives fire an opportunity to get up into those trees. By pruning those trees, you can see fire kind of moves underneath it, doesn't really get up into the crowns of the trees, and becomes a lower intensity fire. If homes don't ignite, homes don't burn. So up to 90% of homes destroyed by wildfires are ignited by embers. Homes with non-combustible roofs and a 1.5 meter of non-combustible clearance have significantly higher chance of survive major wildland fires. So vinyl siding, when it gets exposed to heat, it starts to melt, fall off, and then that could create a higher fuel load as well. Structures and developments that are not fire smart can catch fire. So in an area like this, I would need a lot of tree thinning occurring in that area, branches being reduced as well, just so that fire like that producing embers won't ignite nearby fuels. These are some examples of communities that have burned in the past. So a lot of money, a lot of homes lost. Few more here. Lots of evacuations. These are the number of fires in 2023. So it wasn't one of the worst years, but you can see this is kind of an average of what you can see across the country for large fires. The red dots are fairly large fires, the blue dots are lesser fires, but you can see a lot of predominantly red dots all over Canada. Fire conditions, so the wildland fire disaster sequence. Severe wildfire conditions, so your fuel, weather, topography. Those are all contributing factors to the spread of wildfire. When you have high fuel loads, really windy conditions, you'll end up getting rapid fire spread and high intensity as well. Stopping the transition of fire from wild fuels to built urban fuels significantly reduces the likelihood of a disaster. Oops. So in urban fire situations, once one home ignites, it has the potential to ignite other homes, and it creates kind of like a chain reaction. When that happens, fire departments are often overwhelmed, and there's too many fires and not enough resources to extinguish it. So it becomes a situation where a home's burning and it's higher than a certain percentage of it burnt. They're often let to just burn out because other resources are needed to potentially save other houses. So this is kind of an example of the Fort McMurray fire. I don't have a video. The last presentation that I did show a video. But this is essentially kind of the ground zero for Fort McMurray. They had a fairly large fuel break between the forested area and the homes. But what happened is there's shrubs and trees in the people's yards, and you can see in the dash cam videos, the embers falling, catching the bushes on fire, and even a small bush about this tall ended up producing enough flames to start igniting houses as people were evacuating. And that was kind of the what caused a chain reaction in Fort McMurray. So it was multiple embers dropping everywhere, burning nearby fuels, and then also the structures creating that chain reaction where other homes ignite. This is a cartoon version of pretty much the dash cam footage. But once one house ignites, it's a massive amount of heat and also producing its own firebrands or embers.
As we continue to extend our lifestyles and communities into the forested and grassland areas, we become more exposed to the dangers of wildland fire. Even so, it is possible to live safely and resiliently with wildland fire. Fire smart principles mitigate a home's vulnerability by taking proactive action on our properties to reduce wildland fire risks. By addressing the home ignition zone, which includes the condition of the home out to 30 meters from its perimeter or any attached structures, you can reduce the potential for home ignitions. The residents of Aspen Street are taking proactive steps on their properties. Hi, I'm Levi. We must reduce wildland fire risk in our neighborhood. I've created a 1.5 meter non-combustible surface in the immediate zone around my entire home. By clearing the vegetation and combustible material, including under my deck, down to bare mineral soil, and enclose the other side of the deck.
Hi, I'm Sandy. The intermediate zone is between 1.5 and 10 meters from your home. To discourage fire from reaching our home, we moved combustible material like firewood out to the extended zone. We moved our patio furniture and renovation materials into the shed and plan to use fire-resistant landscaping products in our yard.
Howdy, I'm Colin. I've hired professional arborists to work in the extended zone, which is 10 to 30 meters from our home. They will thin our trees so they are 3 meters apart, crown to crown, and prune them to 2 meters from the ground to create a fire break and prevent from climbing into the trees.
Hi, I'm Marie with the local fire department. The residents of Aspen Street make great fire smart choices in their home ignition zone. Properties that extend beyond 30 meters need to keep applying these same principles, like pruning remaining conifer trees and clearing up dead and woody debris. The guidance of a forest professional on appropriate management options and thinning practices is also recommended. In subdivisions like Aspen Street, priority zones can overlap. It is important to talk to your neighbors and identify ways that you can work together.
We've taken small actions on our properties. Together, we can accomplish much more. We should visit the Fire Smart Canada website to find out how we can get involved in the neighborhood recognition program and increase our neighborhood's resilience to wildland fire. Agreed.
Ignition hazards to look for. Just some examples around here. Wooden decks, a lot of trees close to windows, buildup of debris. Those are all things that can be mitigated relatively easily and reduce the chance of your home igniting in the event of a wildfire with an ember shower. So this is your immediate zone, 0 to 1.5 meters. This is a pretty critical zone to keep clear of flammable debris because embers that collect in these areas will ignite nearby fuels. And it's pretty close to the house, so that small little heat source could turn into something big. Some things to look out for, deteriorating shingles. So asphalt shingles are relatively, if they're ULC rated, fire resistant. But over time, as they break down, they lose that fire resistant. Vents without screens are also another component that allows embers into the house. The immediate zone, this is just outside that first zone there, or sorry, the intermediate zone. So this is where all your like lawn furniture, maybe wood would be at. Ideally, a little further away from the house would be best. But this is where you can start cleaning up tree branches, pruning. Just some examples of things you could do. Removing leaf piles, storing propane tanks a little further away. Then there's the extended zone, 10 to 30 meters. So this is removing some fuels, whether it's dead trees on the ground, but definitely trimming tree branches just to, if the fire is crowning, it needs that surface fire to help it continue. So by eliminating those ladder fuels, reduces the chance of having a more intense fire in that area. Just these are some examples of other fire smart programs around Canada. There are some pamphlets in the back with extra information in them. Also, there's a new home app as well. I haven't seen it myself. But it allows you to kind of assess your own property as well. There's also some online training. So there's the advanced home assessment program. It gives you some knowledge to basically do your own assessments or to become an assessor as well. So if anyone's interested in becoming a trained assessor, there's a couple steps to go through, but FireSmart is a community-based program. The Home Partners Program helps residents identify specific actions they can take to reduce wildfire risks on their property. And in some provinces, BC especially, if it's designated a FireSmart property, there is a reduction in home insurance as well. Wildfire Community Preparedness Day. It's an opportunity for some communities to get funding as well. So it gives you the opportunity to go around your community or your neighborhood, clean it up. And usually you can get a couple $100 for it as well. There's also the neighborhood recognition program. It's where community members get together. I think Wanless is on the track for that if they haven't got that already. But they're pretty interested in it as well. So in order to get the neighborhood recognition, there needs to be somebody to kind of take lead on it. So that's identify a champion. There is a neighborhood committee, which only takes a couple people to start. Have a neighborhood wildland fire hazard assessment completed. Develop a neighborhood mitigation plan. And teach residents FireSmart knowledge and involve them in cleanup events. There's supposed to be some examples here. There is a lot of information on the FireSmart website as well. There is some online courses people can take for assessing hazards. Yeah. And that's it for me.
Oh, okay. So, Bob's getting set up. So just kind of a recap of last year's wildfire season from what we saw. We were deployed 4 times to different areas in the north. We spent 2 weeks up in Flin Flon, a week in Thompson, a couple weeks in Snow Lake, and then a couple days in, I think it was Leaf Rapids. So we spent probably 6 to 8 weeks on wildfire deployments with the Office of the Fire Commissioner. And it was 4 or 5 guys going at a time. Last year was one of the most severe and complex wildfire seasons that they've ever seen, with over 445 active wildfires recorded. There's a couple fatalities down in the eastern portion of the province at Lac du Bonnet.
Yes, that's actually the 1 year anniversary.
Yeah. A couple, from what I understand, they couldn't get out quick enough, so they went back to their home and the fire overtook their home and they were trapped in there. Approximately 2.3 million hectares burned across the province, destroying a bunch of critical infrastructure. When we were up in Flin Flon, we were without power for 5 days. There was no power, no cell service, no internet, nothing. We were kind of on our own. It was also the largest evacuation operation in Canada, with over 33,000 people displaced from their homes. And most of that was from the north, especially from places like Puck, Flin Flon. I'm sure Bob can speak to that a little
Yes.
bit more.
Yeah.
The town of the Paw was heavily involved in it, at the airport. The military was involved, bringing in planes, or it sounded like a war zone at the airport here with the amount of helicopters and planes landing, so. And again, significant damage to Manitoba hydro lines and telecommunications affecting the northern regions. There is power lines down, there's power poles down everywhere around the Flin Flon area. Hydro ended up showing up while we were still actively fighting the fire. And they would work and then get kicked out because the fire would get too close. So hydros actually started putting in poles and wrapping the bottom of the poles with the fire retardant coating. That way the poles can't burn. And then we don't run into this issue again. So last year it started in our backyard. Started over on OCN. It lasted about a week. This was actually a photo one of our guys took. I believe it was on the Sunday night when it was trying to jump the Saskatchewan River over into Bracken Dam. It did about 7 or 8 times and we were able to put out those hot spots in a real quick hurry. And there was no values lost over in Bracken Dam that day. We worked, I think it was 29 or 30 hours straight on this fire between Sunday and Monday. So massive wildfire threatened communities west and northwest of the Paw. We had some pretty intense winds that were constantly shifting. It would come from the northwest, and then the wind would flip, and it would come from the south and push it towards Rocky Lake. Then it would flip again, and it was coming from the northeast. And the winds were going roughly from 30 kilometers an hour, and some days they were gusting up to 80. And it was a grass / willow / some type of bush. But just the winds alone were wreaking havoc on us. So it did end up forcing evacuations of Wanless, as well as North and East Shore Rocky Lake. Some of the Carrot Valley got evacuated as well. I don't know if anybody lives out there that's here today. But it was evacuate, Kate, you guys can go back. Oh, we have to evacuate again. And that was just the wind shifting constantly. We didn't know which way it was gonna come from. In town, we had thick smoke and there was some ash and looked like needles from pine trees landing in town with how much the wind was blowing, but there is no structural loss in town. The one day the wind did shift and from the south, or it was coming from the south and it switched to the north. And our guys were on Turk Road. They spotted a small spot fire that was about, Jake can attest, about yay big. And by the time he walked to his truck, grabbed a flapper and walked back, it was half this room. So, and within 7 minutes, it jumped the Carrot River and burnt through Turk Road, or not Turk Road, Profit Road, and jumped the highway and was burning towards Lasan Road. All in about 7 to 10 minutes. That's how bad the wind was pushing through there. In there's 3 structures lost. I believe there was a couple of livestock that ended up having to be put down. But at the end of the day, there's no lives lost. Everybody was evacuated pretty quick. There was some value protection put up. Clearwater, there was a jump over into the Clearwater by Sunset Beach, which then had some evacuations happening there. And that's one of those one way in, one way out. And high pressure RCMP did a really good job on that evacuation. At that time, we had Snow Lake and Flin Flon here helping us. We were out at Rocky Lake putting up sprinklers with Manitoba Wildfire Service. We came back in when we heard the evac on Turk Road. We drove by, seen the smoke coming from Clearwater. Had Snow Lake and Flin Flon go out to the 287 to try and protect Highway 287. And again, we talked about the Carrot Valley. There is definitely some zero visibility conditions out there. Especially that Thursday when it really blew up. We hit that crossover in the weather. So the temperature was 30, 32, somewhere in there. Humidity was below the temperature. And the wind was over 30 kilometers an hour. So it was just a bad mixture of weather that whole week. If you ever look at the weather before you light a fire. If your temperature is more than your humidity, don't light a fire. Whether you're in the valley trying to do a controlled burn or even a fire pit in your backyard, that's prime time for a fire to take off. Doesn't matter how long your grass is or anything, it can take off in a pretty quick hurry. So the 2025 season, there was quite a long time without any rain. I think we went a month and a bit with no rain in our area. The initial springtime forecast for our area looked like we would be pretty good. We were at a pretty low risk for wildfires. Nobody expected to go through a month and a half of no rain. And that's when everything really took off. That photo there is from our fire. We worked very closely with OCN Fire the whole time. We had help from the Office of the Fire Commissioner, Flin Flon, Snow Lake, Minnetonka's came up, and they assisted us for that whole week as well. Here's some photos. That first one, where a laser on here. Oh, there it is. Doesn't work on the screen. So the first one on this side here was an aerial view of the Saskgram. It was in a really bad location where we couldn't get vehicles or people in there to actually attack the head of the fire. If we would have put any vehicles in there, we would have lost them in a quick hurry. Way too soft, way too muskeggy. So we kind of had to wait for the fire to burn up to us before we could do anything. There was air support from Manitoba Wildfire Service, but if you don't have the crews out there to kind of mop up after, if the wind picks up and just keeps it burning. The next photo is right along the Saskatchewan River. That was the night that it was trying to jump over into Bracken Dam. One of our members took that. We fought from about 7 p.m. till 6 a.m. on the Bracken Dam to stop it from jumping over there. Top one was just, I think that was the day it first started. The smoke looking over the water treatment plant. And the very bottom one is kind of once everything calmed down and it was declared under control, we had roughly 25,000 feet of hose to clean up. Just a quick full video of what we were seeing. I believe that was out on Turk Road. Flin Flon. So this one was late May, early June. I can't remember the exact date. It all blends together now. The initial, I can't speak for Flin Flon, what they saw to begin with. Jason, the fire chief up there, would have to speak to that. When they first did the initial evacuation order, Jason phoned us to see if we could come up and assist with the evacuation. Our guys spent roughly 14 hours at the airport helping EMS load people onto airplanes to get them out. They were immobile, on oxygen, anything like that. Crews in town and the CSOs helped with traffic control in town, just so that we could get people through town as quick as possible with the least amount of disruptions. So a fire originating at the Creighton landfill jumped the boundary of Saskatchewan and Manitoba, directly threatening the city of Flin Flon. The residents virtually deserted the community. It was a ghost town driving through Flin Flon. It was really weird to drive around and not have anybody in that area. Only firefighters, RCMP and emergency officials remained, and there was some city officials left there. But after a little bit, even the city officials left town, and us and RCMP were the only ones in there. There was roughly 190 municipal firefighters, as well as Manitoba Wildfire Service. I believe they had a hotshot crew from Oregon come up. And I believe it was from Washington, they had another crew come up. As well as multiple water bombers, they had helicopters from down in the States. It was a big ordeal, as well as the Office of the Fire Commissioner. Thick smoke grounded a lot of the aerial support. So if it's too smoky, the bombers or helicopters can actually assist. And firefighters reported we were allowed to go through grocery stores. The owner of Co-op was very generous and allowed us to go in there and take what we needed to get us by. Because there was no food, there was no cooks left in town. We had to eat and there was nobody feeding us. So he was generous enough to let us go in, take what we needed to feed 190 firefighters until they brought cooks back in. Our crews were mostly stationed, I don't know, is everybody familiar with the cottage country up there? We were mostly stationed at Sally Beach Road. The one night, the fire traveled roughly 19 kilometers overnight. It was throwing embers 2.5 to 3 kilometers ahead of the fire, starting new fires. They expected it to come out at Big Island by the drive-through. It went past that and came out at Sally Beach Road and destroyed multiple properties. We got up at 6 o'clock in the morning and was told just to get out there. Usually you have a debrief in the morning, find out what you're gonna do. That morning it was on the radio, everybody get out to that area and just start working. We worked that area for about a week and we were evacuated 8 times in 2 days. Cause the fire just kept coming. It wouldn't stop. I did end up jumping the highway and went towards the airport. And that's when the helicopters went, we're getting out of here. These pieces of equipment are way too expensive to be anywhere near a fire. So they left, but they did come back daily to assist us, which we're super thankful for. Massive scorched areas across northern Manitoba. That fire joined up with, I believe, the Puck fire and the Sheridan fire.
There's 3 combined fires.
Yeah, it was one massive, I remember looking at the fire map and that whole area just seemed like it was one big red blob. Water bombers were essential when they could fly. But lots of the bombers were also tied up with the fire in the southern portion of I can't say southern, eastern portion, southeast portion of the province. Here's some more photos. The one on the very bottom here kind of shows the scale of that fire. And then one beside it, that's all different fire departments. There's departments from as far south as Morden. That's almost as close to the border, I guess, as you can get. And they drove a big fire truck. I don't know how far of a drive that is.
It's over 7 hours at least.
Yeah, so they drove up. And it was really cool to see all different types of departments come up to help assist one community. Top right above the trucks there, that's some of the municipal guys. Really hard for the southern guys to come up and really help because they're not used to being in a forest. They're used to grass fires, pastures. So they learned a lot in a really quick hurry. and I'm from southern Saskatchewan, so I learned a lot in a real quick hurry as well. So, and then the top one there, I don't know exactly where that one is, but again, it just shows how the fire creates its own atmosphere. This was taken by me by the airport, and it was kind of like an eerie orange glow for the 2 weeks we were up there. It was constantly popping up in different spots. Jason was IC for quite a while, and then I believe Parks Canada.
Parks Canada, and then teams from the US came up and they all rotated.
Yeah, so it was a major incident going on, especially when you get that incident management team from the States coming up. We were by Kississing, Wings on Kississing. Ended up having to work all day from 5 AM till 7 PM. We got asked to work the night shift, so we worked till 4 in the morning. The fire actually jumped over our heads about 3.5 kilometers with one ember and started a fire about the size of a football field. And we just happened to turn around, and in seconds, it was the size of a football field going to a mine site with some, don't know what they are. All I was told was that there was millions of dollars worth of equipment and some other stuff in there that it was heading to. So we spent another 4 or 5 hours just making sure we could protect that. So this is kind of a comparison. The last couple of years, 2.3 million hectares. Last year, 2023 was 2 million. And the 5-year average is roughly 600,000. So we can see that it is going up. Most of the fires in our area are caused by natural causes, so lightning. The southern portion is more the human caused ATVs. So, Jacob can attest more to what wildfire does, as he used to work wildfire, but if it's way up in the north and it's not threatening anything, from my understanding, they kind of let it burn, as it's good for the forest. But once it starts threatening structures, communities, that's when wildfire will engage and try to put it out. Yeah.
Just stand by. I see my notes. That's a big nice. Okay.
I have my memory, she does that next week.
Just. Okay. All right. Sit down. Hello, everybody. My name is Bob Strika. I'm the Senior Regional Emergency Manager for EMO. I'll just be providing you some updates and some, we have a new app called MB Ready, which I'll ask you to download to your phones. So I work within preparedness and response, and I'll be providing updates for them in regards to EMO. So currently, I'll just highlight some of the key initiatives. Manitoba EMO has a coordination center where we bring subject matter experts together. And what we do then is to coordinate all facets of the emergency response within government. So we bring people to the table, we get conversations going, we host conference calls with local authorities to update them. Last year, approximately 160 days we spent at a level 3 because of the wildfire response. We also have a mobile command post. It was deployed here to the Paul last year during the wildfire season. Did everybody get an annoying alert on last Wednesday? That goes, Well, guess what? Somebody like me would have sent it to you. And that is to ensure that you get the most up-to-date information in case there is an alert. We are also hosting or now having an application called MB Ready. And I'll talk more about that. We're developing our local authority partnership group. That's where EMO is directly meeting with local authorities, but also all the partners that would be supporting you during an evacuation, an event, a wildfire, and also large power outages. And I'll share you all the contact names of our regional emergency managers. So when we are normal operations, our MEC is at a 0 level. And that usually is manned by our duty officer and our director of preparedness. And all of that time we are spending at 0. It's a normal day. Nothing really bad is happening. Might be some power outages, maybe some localized flooding. Then as things escalate and that becomes a smaller event requiring some coordination, we may be deploying our resources into the field. And that would be a level 1. Level 2, you'll see larger events. That could be the impacts of a wildfire or maybe a wildfire coming towards your communities. And then the highest level, which would be 3, where we would have all the resources of government moving forward to assist. We'd be deploying our regional emergency managers and we'd be asking for federal assistance and international assistance to respond to an event. This is our mobile command post. It has living quarters in the back. It has an office area in the front. It has the Starlink. It has radio comms, the P25 radio. It even has a ham radio in it. And from that standpoint, it can be deployed anywhere within the province. And it has a backup generator in it. So it produces its own power. And it also has the sleeping accommodations in the back. So our crews, if they do deploy to a community, we're not asking you to provide shelter for us. We have our own shelter built within the response vehicle. We can also give this to a community if it needs to use it as a command post, a sign up, something pre-registration. We can set it up. There's an awning that comes down. It's fully lit, so it can be deployed in the evening times. And so that if you need it, it's there. It's only a few hours away and I've driven it here many times. So again, if you do need it, please reach out to us. So I put that noise in because I didn't want to put the sound, but honestly, from the standpoint of the alert MB, EMO, the province of Manitoba department, we actually do these. We are the ones who actually maintain the system and also send out those alerts. So as a municipality, if you have an event, let's say an evacuation like Flin Flon did, we were able to put that up into the evacuation alert and send it through the alert MB. Every municipality within the province now has access through our duty officer. So if you do have an event, your fire chief, your mayor, your CAO would phone their duty officer at EMO and they would ask for an alert to be issued. We'd work with you and then send it out. Now, I would ask you, if you have not done this yet, take your phones out and scan the QR code, which will then load what we call MB Ready. And it will give you all the current alerts that are in the province now that we are now having in one spot. You can see power outages, you can see high water events, you can see all the events that are now spread out in different applications. We're bringing them all together within the province of Manitoba under MB Ready. Are you? Once we have everybody And I was wondering if people in or viewing this online would be able to do it also. We were testing this last year, at the beginning of, or through the wildfire season, but now we have it built out in such a way that it's in the app store. We have the QR code. We've posted posters throughout the community that if you see it in the grocery store, at the rink here, we've just tried to make sure that it gets out there so people have it on their phones. So once it's loaded on the phone, what you'll be able to see is that you'll see the warnings or the alerts. Within the hub, there's a button at the very bottom. It says hub, and you can type in where you just like to see the alerts come to. But if you're traveling to any parts of Manitoba and you want to see how things are going there, you can also add those locations. So that's called the hub. And within the hub itself, you can download some of the actual documents. Because a lot of people don't take their insurance with them. Some people might not have their license, they forgot it at home. So you can scan it in and you can put it on this platform. So if you do go to a shelter or if you're evacuated, you have all those important documents with you, but it'll be online. So how many folks were able to load it?
I don't see that.
No? Oh, hang on. Okay, let me come back. Okay, so if you turn both sides. If you just go to mine, right there, then you can type in the location you like that at, and you just type the font in. So with this application, the app that we're proposing or we have online, it is to ensure that if you want to know about a road being actually non-passable, or if there's a wildfire evacuation, you will see that on the actual map. As you zoom in and zoom out, you'll be able to see those things that are posted. And then in the listing, you can choose to have just a few things. You don't have to have them all on, but it's up to you to decide which you'd like to do. All right. So how we're trying to share this with everybody, we're going to have business cards, we're doing the flyers and posters, which we're already posting. And thank you, Mike, for helping me out. I appreciate all the good locations that you chose. We are going to try to share it more through our MB Ready and Facebook. It's on our EMO website. As soon as you come to our website at EMO, then you'll be able to then also see it. And then just person to person. If you have somebody that would like to get this information or you think would like to, just share the MB Ready app with them. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we're working really hard to develop local authority partnership networks. So what we're doing is EMO is ensuring that Mike will know who the parks manager is at Clearwater. Because it's unique at Clearwater. You have some town property and you have some parks area and they're together really. And so if there was an evacuation, as there was last year of that area, you want to know who the managers are, who those people are to connect with. We're also working to make sure that as we move through this, everybody knows what their roles and responsibilities are. The other day, we met with Hudson Bay Rail and we were discussing about who to communicate with. And they talked about their mile markers along the line. And so to make sure everybody understands things, and it's just about meeting each other. And just about training together, doing some exercises, you know, just to understand where things could go wrong or where things are going right. So our regional managers, they provide guidance and support. We'll try as best as we can to regarding preemptive actions and response and activities We annually review your emergency plans as submitted, which are approved by council. Drafting and submitting your preparedness reports if you're during an event, and supporting, again, annual training and public education and coming out to communities and explaining. I believe this is my 11th presentation through the North. And I very appreciated being able to do this with you and to listen to any concerns you have, but also to understand that last year, as Lawrence Huckleluck, who was superintendent of wildfire, said the other night in Snow Lake, this is not a 1 in 100-year events. These can be year after year after year. Because in 2024, there was the cranberry fires. And as you said, 19 kilometers in a night. Well, I'm sure the 2024 May fire went from 6 miles from north of Flin Flon all the way to Cranberry in less than 32 hours. And that's a huge. And as you mentioned last year, that fire that was impacting around the paw, those fires, when they were combined together, went all the way north to Laurie River, just south of Lynn Lake. It was huge, absolutely huge. You know, I believe it's 380,000 hectares were burning in the forest.
Do you do presentations like this for OCM?
Yes, actually, Mike and I were wanting to come out and just have a chat and just go over the process.
Last summer, there was when the fires were going, the school takes students out land-based training, and they took them out to our Stony Point, that's in the park. But the guy said, "Where's that?" When the lady went to go get the kids out of there.
Really?
Yeah, so it's a good thing she went to check. She
Mhm.
managed to call the bus and
Yeah.
get them out of there. It's next door to Hugo Bay, former Hugo Bay campsite.
So, knowing your knowledge of the area, does it have cell phone service there, or was it?
If you go down to the lake,
Oh, okay.
you get cell
Oh,
phone
okay.
service.
But again, when people are coming into your community or you're going to a special event, just, it's important you check. First of all, road conditions, is there an active fire in the area? And that's why loading the MB Ready app, so that you can see visually what's occurring within your area, which is important. So I'm the Senior Regional Emergency Manager for the entire province. I'm so happy to represent the North Region. We have Amy Curry in the Western Region, which is from Swan River down through Dauphin, all the way to just to Verdon area. Then we have Chris Hurley coming off on the city. We have Quinn Christensen, who's Central Interlake, so that's inside the Interlake areas. We have Patrick, who's the Red River. We have Derek Russell on the eastern side of the province. Rob DeBray is central, which is the Morden Winkler area, and Derek Pike is the western south, which is south of Brandon. So we have a team. You can deploy anytime. We can bring our team up. We can bring our command post to work with your community leadership. And so that as things progress, you can feel that we are all in it together. So with that,
Thank you.
yeah, I want to thank you. And is there any questions? No? All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
Any questions for any of us? Well, for fire smart principles or anything like that?
I know Lawrence is not here, but do we have any bombers? Bomb is on the way, they sit here.
I can't answer that.
Yeah, Lawrence would be the expert, but I believe he's in Winnipeg right now.
Okay.
Yeah. And is there a lot of ice on Clearwater?
Well, there is,
Yeah.
but usually they'll have enough within the next month or so, I would imagine.
Mhm.
They base it off of how much ice is in the area.
Yeah.
No sense having them here if they can't scoop anywhere, but they do it a little bit before everything's off. just so they're prepared. But last I heard, they're not here yet.
Yeah, and I know Lawrence had mentioned on Monday, they'll do an ice survey. I guess they'll fly the lakes to see where the ice is broken up or where there's some open land, open water, even just for helicopters for buckets. Yeah. Because this time last year, there was fire. It was dry, there was fire in the north, there was fire in the east.
I live in the valley and the water, like, whatever's there disappears right away.
Mhm.
It is dry out there.
Yeah. I know, I've been
It's gonna
to,
get drier.
yeah, I've been to Snow Lake and, since that October snowstorm last year, knocked a lot of trees down. So again, there's a lot of fuel on the ground. So it just, if you're talking to anybody, all your friends, please ask them to prepare. It's not, we're not trying to put fear into anybody. What we're trying to just say is, look at what's around your house. If there is debris, get rid of it, right? If you want to put an evacuation bag together, get it ready. Talk to your family about what things could happen, right? And then just understand that the city is preparing itself. The fire department's preparing. They have a municipal emergency coordinator. As the province, we will come and assist.
And in the next week, we are gonna be starting door to door to do some fire smart assessments of people's homes if they want us. We'll knock on the door, ask if we can do this assessment with the homeowner. And we'll go around the property if they say yes. If they say no, we won't. But if people want us to do an assessment with the homeowners, we're more than happy to do that. So we'll be starting that probably tomorrow.
How many water bombers does the province of Manitoba own?
7.
That's it.
And there's some on order, but it'll be a few years.
Some are on order,
2030.
yeah, 2030, but by the time those are completed, the 250s will be obsolete and probably out of service. So we'll have roughly the same number then.
And thank you all for all you have done for our community and saving us from the fires last year, and hopefully you will be busy this year.
Knock on wood.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.